Hello, welcome to my April reading wrap up. This month was a pretty good month. I read 6 books. The thing is, I thought I was going to read a lot more because Carlos and I were on vacation. We were in Colombia for over 2 weeks. I thought I was just going to fly through a bunch of books during that period, but I didn't. And that's okay, because we still had a really good time anyway. So yeah, I did 6 books, which I'll tell you about now. The first book that I read this month, I listened to it as an audiobook. It's I'll Be Gone in the Dark, One Woman's Obsessive Search for the Golden State Killer by Michelle McNamara. This book has been all over the place. I've seen it a lot. I've heard people reading it a lot, and it's gotten a lot of fame. And I understand why, because the author, Michelle McNamara, she died before she had ever found the Golden State Killer, which is so sad. She was young. She's in her 40s. She's died in her sleep one night. Like, that's awful. And anyway, she's a journalist, author, and she was obsessed with finding this Golden State Killer in California. And I ended up giving the book 2 out of 5 stars. Why? Why did I give it 2 out of 5? I gave it 2 out of 5 because I wasn't that interested. I wasn't gripped into the story. There were some parts that I liked, obviously. Some parts that I found interesting. It's like, I don't know, sometimes nonfictions, when you write a whole book, like, it can be so long, and it's kind of like, hey, can you just end already? But anyway, yeah, I gave it 2 out of 5. Not bad, but not great. The next book I read was Revenge, Ice Cream, and Other Things Best Served Cold by Katie Finn. This is a second book in the series. I read the first book in the series last month, and I gave this book a 3 to 5 stars. It's a YA book about a girl. So in the first book, she's trying to kind of get her childhood friend to forgive her by pretending she's not who she really is. And then the second book is about getting revenge, as you can tell from the title. And it's just a fun, easy, light read. I read this so fast, and I just kind of like that it's childish and funny. So yeah, 3 to 5 for Revenge, Ice Cream, and Other Things Best Served Cold. The third book I read, I also listened to this as an audiobook, is Next Year in Havana by Chanel Clayton. I gave this book a 3 to 5. I liked it. I liked it a lot more in the beginning than at the end. So this book has 2 points of view. One is a woman in Havana, Cuba in the 50s as the revolution is going on. The other character is the Cuban woman's granddaughter in present day. She was born and raised in Miami, and now she's a journalist, and she's going back to Cuba because now the borders have opened up for Americans, and she is just going to see how things are there, but she's also going for her personal life, to know more about her roots and get close to her grandma who passed away. I really like the story. I love hearing about the revolution and communism and how it just destroyed Cuba. I like hearing about the Cuban stories. I didn't like the love interest for one of the characters, and yeah, there's one character story which I preferred over the other, which is the present day story. But otherwise, I think it's a really good read, and I would highly recommend reading it just to learn about Cuba and what happened and how evil those men were. What's his name? What's that man's name? Castro. An evil man. Anyway, next book number 4 was The Alice Network. My sister owns this book, and I borrowed it from her, and I actually gave this a 4 to 5. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I didn't want to read it, but she kind of pushed me to read it. I'm really glad she did. This one I didn't like so much at the beginning, but as it went on, I really, really enjoyed. It's about, well, again, we have 2 characters, and one character is a spy in the First World War. The second character is like a young 19-year-old woman who's trying to find her cousin who was lost after the Second World War. and the one in 1945, the young girl, the old spy is helping her find her cousin. It's just a really good story about the war, about women spies, about, I don't know, independence, and I really, really enjoyed it. The fifth book of the month I listened to as an audiobook. It was Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo. Another surprise. I gave this a 4 to 5. I did not think I was gonna like this much because normally I don't really like YA. I definitely don't usually like YA fantasy anymore. So I was really surprised to give this one a 4 to 5. Six of Crows, we follow, gosh, I don't even know how many characters, 6, 7, 8 different characters. It's a gang of youth, and they have been given the task, like an impossible task, to get a certain drug from like the ice palace or whatever it's called, which is like, you know, there's a lot of security there, a lot of guards. It's impossible to breach this place. So I like how it's a large cast and all of the relationships intertwine, and we learn about their past and their present, and it's a fun adventure book. You know, there's parts where you're reading like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna make it? So I really like Six of Crows. Will I continue in the series? Maybe. I think the second book in the Six of Crows series is the highest rated. Like, I think people prefer the sequel to the first book. So maybe. We'll see if I'm in the mood for it or not. And then the last book of the month was In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware, which was the book for my book club this month, and I loved it. I gave it a 4 to 5. I thought this is Ruth Ware's first novel, and I thought it was fantastic. I read it in 2 days. I read it so fast, or I guess 3 days, and I couldn't put it down. I was so wrapped up in the story. It's just like, it reads fast. There aren't any lulls in the book. It's just constantly going. You get wrapped up. I didn't find the villain to be a surprise. You kind of guessed. Like, I mean, I thought the villain was who they were, but there are parts where she kind of made me doubt, but in the end that was my first guess, and it was who it was. And it's about this woman who gets invited to her high school friend's bachelorette party in a cottage. There are 6 of them total at this bachelorette party. Someone dies. Who killed them? So if you like thrillers, I definitely recommend this. I really liked it. So that's it. That's my April reading wrap up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.